Quiet quitting has been creating a buzz on the internet because of people owning up to doing the bare minimum at work. But is doing the bare minimum a bad thing, or is it just your job description? On this episode of IMO, we discuss the cause and effect of quiet quitting and whether it is an issue in the modern workforce.
In our parents' generation, the hustling culture is the one that's more amplified. Their culture is the one that glorifies OT. You don't leave your work until your boss leaves. You need to come early, you need to do this, you need to do that.
When they entered the workforce, right, they were in a situation where job and income equals survival. I call it wayang working. I feel that like quiet quitting, right, is not a recent phenomenon. It's just that it's an emergent property of the workforce. These days, because we are more advanced as a society, no rice bowl is too iron. And as a result, right, instead of going into the wayang working stage, and hence quiet quitting has always existed. It's just that it evolved from wayang working. Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of In My Opinion. My name is Joe.
My name is Breanna.
And yes, welcome to another episode. Once again, you are expecting to see Lester Pang, but Lester Pang is not here. Why? Because it's Bangkok again. And of course because he's busy. And I was busy. I had to attend to some emergency matters, and that's why we had to push our filming back. And as a result, it was supposed to be Lester Pang, but he's not free today. So we have Breanna.
Hi,
this is Breanna. So please follow us. Before we continue into today's topic, please remember to follow us. So yeah, Overthink SG everywhere: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch,
Spotify?
Telegram, Spotify. We are In My Opinion. And yes, those are our platforms. I feel like there's always something that I need to add on, but I can't. Excuse me, but I can't remember.
OnlyFans.
No OnlyFans lah. If OnlyFans, we will be able to afford better cameras already. But yeah, if you'd like to give us more money, come on our Twitch and actually subscribe to us or straight up donate to us, because donation 100% come to us. But yeah. Okay, on to today's topic. Today we'll be talking about quiet quitting. For those of you that are unfamiliar, on the internet recently it's been trending, especially on TikTok, right? Because nowadays people scroll a lot of TikTok, and other platforms don't really talk about it as much. TikTok, people are talking about quiet quitting, which is basically the act of doing the bare minimum at a job, and it's usually a phenomenon that manifests in people who are about to quit.
Yeah, so basically they don't go above and beyond for the jobs anymore. They stick to purely their job description.
Yes.
Or less if they can.
Correct. So,
Yeah.
first question I have to ask you. Is quiet quitting bad?
Nope. I say no because they still perform their job function. And if that's what they signed up to do, purely for the job function and everything, if they're doing it, okay.
Okay, I also disagree that quiet quitting is a bad thing. I know there are a lot of people who react, like for example, there are employers who react and say that like, oh, quiet quitting is just a soft strawberry generation thing.
Yeah.
Right? But I disagree, because I feel that like quiet quitting is just something that people do when they don't find value in what they do anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, what would you say, right, it is a symptom of quiet quitting besides doing the bare minimum?
Symptom, I guess the loss of passion. Like you don't wake up happy to go to work. You just feel like sian, or the Monday blues will hit you extra strong.
Until Monday, Friday all blue.
Yeah, and then Friday you feel extra happy because it's TGIF. You can't wait for the weekend. But then Sunday, it's when it hits you and you're like, ah, shit. And then,
but is that not everyone's reaction? Doesn't have to be a quiet quitter exclusive thing.
It doesn't have to be lah, but I would assume that if you were quiet quitting, the feelings would be even more amplified because you just don't feel the excitement or the passion to be at your job.
But then would you say that because we both say quiet quitting is not a bad thing, then would you say that people should not be, or rather the passion shouldn't matter in the first place?
See, that I wouldn't say passion shouldn't matter, because it's like people have been telling you that you should love what you do, and if you love what you do, that means every day won't feel like a job to you.
But that's romanticized.
It's romanticized lah, but unfortunately it has been passed down lah. People are still repeating it. So it's either you work with your passion or you work for a living. Like, unless you just work in something that you're not passionate in, you're not excited about, like, let's say, not to generalize, but like accountants, like
Whoa. Accountants
or like a really boring 9 to 5 job versus like, let's say if I wanted to be an artist, I want to sit at home and paint and do everything, but I don't know if I can earn enough or earn a stable amount.
But that's a little bit different from quiet quitting. Well, that's more that's more along the line of the topic of repressing your dreams for the sake of survival, isn't it?
But you asked whether passion was...
Yeah, so that means doesn't have to...
Yeah, so I said, like, if your passion was in your job,
Yeah.
the likelihood of quiet quitting won't be as high lah.
Yeah. Okay, that's true lah. Okay. But like the thing about it is that, so a way to diagnose quiet quitting is to check whether the person's passion is in their job. But not everyone has to be passionate about their job to start with a good start.
Just generally, I feel like motivational, like whether they are motivated or not, whether they're excited or not. Maybe not excited lah, but they are willing to learn. The willingness to do things and the willingness to learn.
Interesting. Okay, then would you say that quiet quitting, right, is a recent phenomenon?
I wouldn't call it a recent phenomenon. I would say that it is a thing that has recently came to light, but it has actually been happening for quite some time.
Then what do you think is the root cause of it?
The root cause of quiet quitting?
Yeah. Like bad employers or bad employers, or is it just people realizing that hustling is bad?
I think it started with people realizing that they could probably deserve more for what they're doing, which I guess stems from employers law, or like.
But it could stem from people discovering their own self-worth, right?
Yeah lor, can
but
also.
that's nothing to do with employers, right? So what do you think is like the root cause?
It's a whole mishmash of things lah. So one of it can be the employers, one of it can be finding self-worth, one of it can be having options, the privilege of having options. What do you think? What do you think then? Like
reverse
yeah. Keep asking me now about you.
I ask you ma, cause personally I feel that like the root cause of it is twofold. Okay, one is from the employer side, the other one is from the employee side.
Yeah.
Okay, first would be the employee. The employer. Oh, I keep messing these words up. But basically, the employer, right, don't appreciate the employee enough. Okay, so what I mean by appreciate, there are many ways that people show appreciation, right? It could be matching the remuneration to their worth, right? The other would be even simple things like words of affirmation in the workplace.
Yeah.
Okay, that's from the employer side. But for the employee side, why they quiet quit, right, is because one, they discover their self-worth.
Yeah.
Right? Second, because they don't dare to vocalize their worth. They humji. For whatever reason. Could be prevailing culture, could be bureaucracy. Every workplace is different, so I can't give a blanket answer. But basically, employers don't know how to face up to their employees don't know how to face up to their employers, and employers don't know how to take care of their employees.
Correct.
And as a result, they quiet quit. But hear me out, okay? Why it is not a rare occurrence, why it's a common occurrence? It's because this divide has always existed. And as a result, employers who usually are not employees before don't realize this ever. Right? And employees who are basically forever employees and seldom upgrade to employers, right, become disconnected to the ground when they do.
Do you think it's an expectation thing? Like the employees expect a little bit too much from the employers, and reverse it. The employers expect a little too much for the employees.
Not really leh.
No?
Because the whole concept of quiet quitting is you strive to be excellent until you become the opposite. Right? No one starts as a quiet quitter.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's the implication, or rather that's what it implies lah. Like you don't quiet quit at the start, right? You always strive to do your best, and then after you reach a point, then you quiet quit. Right? It almost feels like the twilight of a life cycle. Right? So it's not always like a expectation thing.
Okay.
Unless it's you're talking about at that stage of their career. Then maybe lah. But then expectations, then it becomes toxic on both parties. Because if you as an employee got things that you want, but you don't dare to vocalize, that's on you. But if you as an employer, right, are not open to people's vocalization, then that's on the employer. Then that's where it becomes shitty.
Yeah.
And then it becomes corporate shenanigans, and then that's where everyone suffers.
Then quiet quitting happens.
But like I feel that like coming back to the earlier discussion, like where we talk about whether it's a recent phenomenon, right? Do you think it happened during our parents' generation, quiet quitting?
I feel like I wouldn't say that it didn't completely happen, but I just feel like in our parents' generation, the hustling culture is the one that's more amplified.
Explain.
Like, I feel like their culture is the one that glorifies OT. You don't leave your work until your boss leaves. You need to come early, you need to do this, you need to do that. But then, I'm not saying that there are no bad eggs who like...
Are those not positive qualities though?
It is, and where do you draw the line between like self-worth though? Or like working for your pay grade?
But would you then say a quiet quitter is someone who instead of coming early comes on time?
Yes. As I said, they do the bare minimum, doesn't mean you do shit work.
But okay.
Yeah. They just do what's expected, possible. Okay. But they don't go above and beyond.
Then our generation, our parents' generation have what? Because there are a lot of those auntie uncle that 6 o'clock bye.
Maybe
So
maybe now yes. No, maybe now their mindset has changed. Maybe it's due to their age also. But I think it's maybe when they're young, they want to maybe climb the corporate ladder, or maybe they have more energy, they have more this and that, or maybe they just haven't. Maybe it's just the mindset at that point in time. But I feel like if you're talking about like last time lah,
Parents' generation.
yeah, the hustling culture.
So
is,
last time there's less quiet quitting, you would say.
yeah, there's less quiet quitting.
So instead of quiet quitting, what was their version of it? They just quit. They don't quiet. They just like serving notice by.
I don't think it's that straightforward. I think they will instead try to do the opposite, like wayang.
I was gonna go into that, but yeah, during dinner we discussed this. But like it's a bit different. Okay. So my thoughts on this, right, is that I feel that it is last time was a different time.
Yeah.
Right. A different kind of work environment. So last time our parents, right, existed in a world, or rather the older generation. I don't want to call them parents. Our older generation. And by older I mean anyone who is a generation before. So it could be parents, it could be grandparents, whatever. Okay. When they entered the workforce, right, they were in a situation where job and income equals survival.
Yeah.
In so much so that if you don't have job or income, you might actually die. Right? And you actually die in a cannot get yourself out of it kind of way. Because you just do not have the other options. Right? So as a result, right, they held on to their job very tightly, and in order to maintain their job, right, they will do extra to stand out, to be impressive, right? Or they will pretend to do extra to be impressive. Or at minimum, they will do bare minimum. But they will never be quiet quitting. They might be quiet, but they're never quiet quitting.
Yeah.
They'll always be doing what I coined just now at the dining table. So if y'all ever want to use this term, y'all have to credit me. Okay? I call it wayang working.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Agreed. Agreed.
So hear me out, okay? I feel that like quiet quitting, right, is not a recent phenomenon. It's just that it's an emergent property of the workforce. So last time, right, you think about it, during the older generation or rather our parents' generation, they coined this term called iron rice bowl. Right? I'm pretty sure all of us has heard of it before. Our parents say, oh, go into a government job, it's an iron rice bowl. Right? Because last time there were pensions, you were taken care of, you don't get fired because it's not competitive, all that kind of thing. Do you realize that as the world advances, this concept, or rather this term of iron rice bowl, starts to not exist in people's lexicon anymore?
Yeah,
I think it's because, okay, hear me out. The reason why I think is because back then, right, a job and an income was so intrinsically tied to your survival that your job was literally a rice bowl, because without it, you got no rice, you got no bowl. And iron rice bowl never breaks or never cracks. But these days, because we are more advanced as a society, right, we have more avenues of communication, we have more infrastructure to look for employment, right? No rice bowl is too iron.
Yeah.
No
I
rice
agree.
bowl is too fragile.
I agree.
And as a result, right, instead of going into the wayang working stage, where you do your bare minimum just to secure your job, people are more willing to hit a roadblock, time to peace out.
Yeah.
And hence, quiet quitting has always existed. It's just that it evolved from wayang working.
Yeah, I agree. People
Right? And this spectrum of wayang working is very broad. Right? At the far end of it, right, wayang working is people who pretend to be excellent.
Yeah.
Right? Those that OT for no reason, stay late because to show the boss. Right? So that's the far end of wayang working, where their energy is channeled into these kind of behavioral things instead of their performance and their KPI. Right? And then there's the lower end of wayang working, which is where people just pretend to do work. 9 to 5 checkout. That is the mother of quiet quitting.
I guess.
Because there is one key difference. That level of wayang working, right, is they do work, then they bye-bye, but they don't want to quit. Right? But they don't want to quit, they want to secure the job. Quiet quitting is, I do the bare minimum because anytime I want to peace out. So that's a key difference there, and I think that's very prevalent between generations. One is more to the wayang working, one is more to quiet quitting. One to low end wayang working, and then closer to our generation quiet quitting. Because last time no LinkedIn.
Yeah, don't have.
Last time want to find job must
Newspaper.
either pull strings or use newspaper or that kind of thing, ma.
Yeah.
And if you're not performing well, right, you pull what string?
Yeah.
Right? Now you type whatever you want on LinkedIn, put in your credentials, and let your work speak for it. And as a result, because of this accessibility, right, people are more willing to quiet quit than wayang work.
And with LinkedIn, with this accessibility, I feel like people are gaining more confidence also to argue or reason with their boss.
Yeah.
To either get a pay raise, to match their JD, or to get more things done handed to them and whatnot, get promotion and everything, versus when in our parents' generation where there weren't as much of these kind of luxuries that they have, like the lack of resources that they have. Yeah. So they don't have that part to play with, to reason with their boss, unless they actually produce actual work lah. But right now, it's very easy to go to your boss and be like, oh, X company is offering me X amount for the same work that I do, or even more, or whatnot lah. So if you really want me to stay, right?
If you really want me, right?
Yeah, if you really want me, right, will you increase my pay or not?
You must chase after me.
Yeah, will you pay me like comparable or not, even more or whatnot, right? We have this privilege of being able to do this with them now.
Right. But like, do you think that then, right, what we come back to an earlier question lah, would you think then is quiet quitting, right, a bad thing, because it definitely does affect the workforce?
It definitely does. But your question was whether it was a bad thing, right? No, I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
So which do you think is worse then? Wayang working at the low level, at any level, or quiet quitting?
Wayang working.
Why?
Because at least quiet quitting, things are still done. And I feel, right, at least quiet quitting, people are honest about it. If they really dulan or they sian, right, they're not gonna hide it. They sian, but they still do work. But wayang is people still like, wow, act them garang in front of you, or do this, do that. But then the work or the things that that comes out is not up to what they act. So how? I'd rather people be honest with me than lie to me, right?
So do you think, hear me out, in a very twisted way, right, quiet quitting It's because there are too many wayang workers.
Maybe.
They push the bar too high, artificially too high.
Yeah. I think so. Could be.
So like what is the solution here? Do we fix employee behavior?
Mm-hmm.
Or is there something that employer should do? Because if you think about it now, when we talk about this, right, it feels like, wow, all these workers fucking chowking. Right? But is there something that is on the employer also?
I unfortunately feel like, right, majority of the solution could be with the employer lah.
Elaborate.
Because, okay, right now, from what I see and everything, what I've experienced, like, the workforce is really competitive, everyone's hiring, you can go online and search, like, your average pay for your job description or your title and everything, and it's right there. So it's very easy for you to compare to whether your pay is up to average or not. So with that, right, and I feel like money actually, I mean, it does, like, it has to play a lot into how people choose their job, how people act, how people do anything, right? So I think as long as the employer can kind of satisfy that portion with the employee and to be at least like market like average or even better or whatnot, right? I feel like that plays a part in quiet quitting lor.
So
the monetary terms.
So what you're saying is to prevent quiet quitting,
the first
bribe them.
Not bribe lah.
Like to be blunt.
Not, I wouldn't call it bribe lah. It's
Right.
just being competitive, paying the average amount as other people. Because I mean, 20 years ago, whatever like people like content creators that were paid now versus then is completely different, right? You just have to keep updating it and just be competitive with the whole industry in general, right? So if your pay grade is still stuck at like what 5 years ago, 10 years ago, versus other companies who are still like progressively like increasing or like hiring and whatnot, right? You feel very jialat about yourself, right? Or your situation, right? So it's either I hop to that job or I just do the fucking bare minimum and I'm comfortable to stay.
Then is that okay, I see your point. But is there then, right, any fault that lies on the employee?
It's either as what I said, it's either they can go to their boss and reason with them like XXX company is paying this amount, and if you have enough examples of your own work, like your good work, to prove to them that I deserve it, then okay. But if you don't do it and you just keep complaining and nothing changes, right, then at some point in time, some of the fault will have to lie with the employee lah. Like,
but you still stand that mostly is employer.
Mostly is employer, I feel lah.
Then do you think, right, if we step even further back, is it society's fault?
Elaborate, like
okay, like the culture of work. Right? The prevailing culture is that people want workers to work their hardest. Right? But who set that rule?
Like as you mentioned, the previous generation, no? The hustle culture, the everything. I think everyone has been so used to that frame of mind until now, when like, we have technology, we have social media, we have everything opening up to like, self-love, mental health, take this time off for yourself, your contractual hours are like 9 to 6, something like that, right? So whatever that's after that, take time off for yourself, do this, go for a walk, go for a jog, whatever, right? Like, I feel like with that, yeah.
So that would mean that like, but that would mean that if we discuss it from the employer's point of view, right, the employee needs a mindset change. What? If last time the employees could do it, why now cannot?
But that's also not the right mindset to have though.
Why?
Because maybe one of the reasons could be like, burnout culture is actually really real, right? Like some people might just be, I mean, okay, then let me ask you why. In your point of view, why?
Wait, what?
That question.
What?
The question you asked me.
Which part of the question? I asked you a few questions.
Whether it's why last time can, now cannot.
Why last time can, now cannot?
Yeah.
This is a tough one. That's the reason why I asked you what. This is a conversation. I
also don't know.
I answer my own question, man. Okay, why last time can, now cannot?
Yeah.
I think this one I really don't know how to answer because I haven't really thought about it. Because like I think the reason why last time can, now cannot is not because last time can, now cannot. It's because last time, right, people are forced to can. Like I mentioned.
Yeah.
Because things are very survival based.
Yeah.
And because they are forced until they reach a point whereby that's all they know.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I cannot with good conscience say that is 100% true.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were also the generation of wayang workers where even it's so much a stereotype that the OOLs will wait for 5 o'clock, everyone crowd the lift together and just pangkang.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the wayang working low tier that we all know.
Mm.
So last time, so maybe, right, it was the question was wrong to ask that way because last time maybe cannot.
Mm-hmm.
Last time was the reason it created this toxic culture in the first place because actually it cannot be done.
Unless you have the
Unless you were truly excellent.
Yeah lah. Unless you are excellent or you have money.
If you were truly excellent, right, you would already be at that level. It's just all these fake ass not excellent people that wayang work to try to one up you. So truly it is the mother of quiet quitting.
Yeah.
Then okay, in that case, right, I want to ask you, if let's say you were an employer, right, what will be some things that you do, right, to try to mitigate quiet quitting? You cannot eliminate it. You can try to reduce. You can also try to mitigate the impact it has. So what are some things that you will try to do?
I mean, as I said, I think the first course of action, right, is just to have a competitive pay grade.
But then what will happen is that employers will find this loophole and then they will say there's no more, you're not allowed to look at this, or this is not accurate. They discredit.
What do you mean this is not accurate? This is...
You Google and find this range, right? It's not accurate. It's not true.
But there's such thing, meh?
I don't know lah.
Why would it happen? No lah, I know lah. I mean, there are portals, there are so many websites.
Yeah.
There's so many places where you can, not only one source, there's so many other sources, right? What are you talking?
So you first would be to try to give them a competitive pay.
Yeah.
And then after
course.
that, anything else?
And then build a strong culture, work culture, office culture. I'll try my best to I mean, office politics will still be there. I'll just try to create a stronger office culture in the company. At least a more happier one, like a livelier one, not
right.
You get what I mean?
And that would make people quit less.
Yeah, I'll just try my best to make people excited to come to work, be it like whether they make great friends in the office, whether the office things are really good, good resources for them, good things, we have good perks, good benefits.
Right.
Yeah.
And
right.
And I guess that's what like the IT industry does to try to retain people.
It actually does. Yeah.
Of course it does. Right?
Yeah.
People like good things. But what if those things are too expensive as an employer?
Then
because there's employers and business people only got one thing in their mind, right? Is that they want their business to make as much money as possible. What if this is a cost that they're not willing to fork out?
That one, I don't know if I have enough experience to even like say, but I guess it's bordering the line of like having the startup culture and have enough people to hustle for you enough for you to get big, or you hustle like shit, get big, and you still have the startup culture, and that becomes toxic.
Wait, so you just gave a suggestion that has no happy ending?
I mean, that's if the employer doesn't change lah with the growth of the company lah, you know. Because you say it might get too expensive, what? So maybe in their mindset, they still want to scrimp and save. They want to like, work people 996, that kind of thing, right? Some people do that. Some places do that. Whereas some places who are like big enough, like the big fours or whatever, right? who have enough resources, who have grown so much, right? Who are willing to put in this X amount of money to build a solid HR, have solid resources, have solid things for the employees.
So if you don't do that, then all of a sudden
if you don't take care of them, obviously why would they take care of you?
But then the opposite can be said. If you don't work hard for me, why should I put in effort to take care of you?
That's why it's a startup. Okay, it's a very
right. Because if I'm a boss,
yeah,
and your employee say that like, why I never behave well, right? It's because you never take care of me. Then I'm like, why would I take care of you if you don't behave well? Then this chicken and egg problem.
I think it also might depend on how established or how big the company might be, and how maybe in the interview they might preempt you already, like, oh, this might happen, you might need to work on the weekends, you might need to do this, you might need to do that, and your willingness to try.
How about if in an interview you express your honest unwillingness?
Then it's not a match. Then find someone else.
Damn.
That's why you got a probation period. I got 3 months, right? If it doesn't fit, find something else. Why would you want to pass your probation, right? And then make everything so jialat, right? When you already have that time, that buffer time, right?
Preach to all the wayang workers right now listening, because I feel that that's the prevailing culture. People just, oh my god, I got a job.
Yeah, and then
it sucks.
Then those idiots not idiots, fuck. Those people who wanna stay in a company for 1 to 2 years to look good on your CV, but then they keep complaining every freaking day, right? I'm like, why?
So wait, then that means there is a deeper issue here.
Not.
Right?
Not.
If the behavior of employers are like that, and the behavior of employees are like that, such that both of them work together to promote quiet quitting, something else is wrong. It's neither of them.
Office politics shenanigans. Office shenanigans, I don't know.
Office shenanigans? I don't think it's shenanigans.
Then what? What do you think?
It's a cultural thing.
Could be.
Like, I don't know if it's around the world, but if you talk about Singapore, it feels like right now, based on our discussion so far, right, not only is quiet quitting never going away, right, it is both simultaneously being self-sabotaged by both the employers and the employees.
That's why I asked, like, do you think expectations are set a little too high on both ends?
I don't think it's expectations.
Then what do you think?
I really think it's a cultural thing. Okay. Like, as an Asian society.
But you always want more, you always want better quality things, you always want nicer things.
That's not always true. Okay. I don't know about around the world, but I think in Singapore that is close to 100% true.
Yeah, that's what
and that's the cultural problem, what?
Yeah.
Right? You always want better things, which is not a bad thing inherently. Right? But you keep striving for excellence, right? The excellence becomes the expectation. Excellence becomes the baseline.
It is.
So that is the cultural problem that results in wayang working and quiet quitting. Because like people think that the best is the bare minimum. When in fact the bare minimum is the bare minimum. That means it goes all the way back to childhood, where people say 90 is not 100.
Oh yeah.
Second is not first.
Yeah.
So then, right, will you say that quiet quitting is prevalent around the world?
I feel like more so in developed countries, because we have more privilege to choose and to argue and to fight back. But
so do you think then there is also along with it a burnout pandemic?
And we are having a burnout pandemic. What are you talking about?
Really, I don't read the news.
Yeah. Why do you think the talk about mental health and everything has been so widespread, especially right after COVID?
Yeah.
Because we're all burnt out already.
So is there no end to this? How do we end it?
That's why I say, like,
competitive pay. Is that truly it?
I would argue that quiet quitting is actually beneficial for your mental health.
Whoa. Hot take, elaborate.
Because if you know how to separate your work hours versus your private time and personal time to do what's good for you, what's beneficial for your personal life and everything, right? I feel like that in turn will make you feel better and more motivated as a person to maybe, hopefully, not to everyone, but maybe for that few people to translate that into work.
So they step out of quiet quitting.
Yes, or either that or they move to like maybe a new job or new industry, but they don't quiet quit. They just
Quit.
they just keep changing lah.
Right.
Honestly, quitting and changing jobs is not wrong. It's not
wrong.
terrible. Yeah, it's not terrible.
No, as in, like, I feel that it's more honest.
Yeah, it's not terrible. Yeah. Like, why do you want to work your employees so much until they get so burnt out that they don't feel the want or the need or the passion to be good for you anymore, right? If not, why do you think some officers have like this happiness manager or something, or like the HR keep like
happiness manager?
Yeah, there's a job title. Some companies do.
I think Google have. I want.
Yeah, confirm have.
I want.
I think you just type or you search.
Oh my god! I'm
happiness
in the wrong industry.
manager. The happiness
Can you
manager.
imagine if my job description is to spread happiness?
Yeah, so sometimes you get to plan all those like office outings technically an office manager, but to like create unity lah, or to ensure that people are happy lah.
Right.
So, because I know there are some trading firms that have in-house therapists.
Right.
So if you're too burnt out at your desk on the floor, anything whatnot, just go to the therapist and talk. And talk already, go back to work.
Is that too?
But you're still prioritizing mental health, right? At least you are there, or you have someone there for your employees.
Huh.
If you don't invest in them, they won't invest in you.
But the opposite is true. If they don't invest in me as the boss, why would I invest in them?
That's what I said. If your employers don't invest in the employees, they won't invest in you.
So, okay. So your point is still coming back to the employer's point of view, about quiet quitting. Okay.
Yeah.
So in that case, do you think, right, we will be able to come to a solution for quiet quitting anytime soon?
I think we are slowly getting there with the whole mental health talk getting more popularized more mainstream yeah. Quiet quitting is still there, but people are now realizing that the option to move or to do things to make them happier about their situation is now there, and I hope that option will help this quiet quitting thing be better lor.
Personally, I feel that quiet quitting is not gonna go away anytime soon. Because a cultural shift is definitely required. Because right now this self-sabotaging behavior happens at both levels. And like, if people do not break away from this cultural cycle, right, we will never see an end to quiet quitting. And it may further evolve into something else. Or it may cycle back into wayang working when recession hits. So like, tough.
I feel like we're spiraling down a whole conversation, because I feel like, now that I think about it, I feel like mental health plays a lot into that. That time recession, or your rice bowl is the main thing. You cannot lose your job and everything. If not, you will starve, your family will starve, no food, whatever. Mental health is shit, what? You cannot deny that last time our parents...
But when survival is an issue, you got no time to deal with your mental health. Whether it's shit or not doesn't matter. Right? You go by the hierarchy of needs, what?
No time to deal with it doesn't mean that it's not shit, what?
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
But at the same time, right, doesn't mean you don't survive also.
Yeah lah, so you do whatever it takes to survive. That doesn't mean your mental health will take a hit, what?
But that doesn't mean you don't survive, you see.
Yeah lah. That's why people are so angry and pissed and like depressed and stuff lah, or workaholics lah.
Wow, this conversation is spiraling out of control. But basically, okay, when you talk about quiet quitting, okay, any final thoughts? Do you think that you're someone that will quiet quit? Or do you think that you are already quiet quitting?
I am currently not quiet quitting. If my boss sees this,
If your boss not here?
if my boss not here, no, I'm joking. But I wouldn't be surprised if I quiet quit. But I think I will try and reason my way to get
more better.
To get more better, and if it's not, then I will try and take my make a move or like do things that will benefit myself lah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
I don't know if I can say with certainty that I will quiet quit, but I think I am quite lucky because I'm in a position where I can be upfront with my boss with my intentions, and how he reacts after that is out of my control. But I think at least I will still be hurt, right? So I do not know whether I will quiet quit, but high chance I don't think I will.
Okay.
And yes, any last advice for people who are currently quiet quitting? Sigh.
I hope that you have plans laid out in front of you, plan A, plan B, plan C, on where you want to move next or what's your next course of action. If not, then if you are satisfied with what you're doing right now, good for you, man. If not, then I hope that things will get better and you're okay.
What about the bosses who are dealing with people who are quiet quitting?
Maybe you should take a good look at yourself in the mirror.
Wow, damn combative, yeah. Damn combative.
No lah.
Super biased.
If you just fuck. I mean, as I said just now, if you invest in your workers, they'll most likely invest back in you. So take that and run.
Take that and run, ladies and gentlemen. Personally, I feel that if you're an employer dealing with employees who might be quiet quitting, first things first, I want to let you know from a perspective of an employee, I do not think it's a bad thing, but rather a natural life cycle of someone who is at the twilight of their career. But if, like Breanna mentions, and I agree with her on this, if you do create a safe space and invest in them to let them know that you care, the likelihood that they own up to their quiet quitting and actually appreciate your insight and move forward from there is higher, because these people are about to leave anyway. Yeah, and so why not, instead of making them dread coming to work, being quiet and being as unproductive as they can be without being fired, encourage them to try to come back so that they can still do stuff even before they leave. Yes. Thank you for watching this episode of IMO.
Yes.
Stay safe.
Stay safe. Don't get COVID.
And these days don't get flu also, right?
Or monkeypox.
I think monkeypox also, now a lot of people get flu.
Or dengue.
Yeah, wear your damn mask, bitches. And dengue?
Dengue is still a thing.
Right. Don't get dengue. Buy the electric racket that goes zap zap and then put it at the window.
Bye.
Bye.